Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into something that, well, maybe you sound a bit dry at first. Paper.
Packaging paper specifically.
Exactly, the global packaging paper market. But honestly, the data we found, it's anything but flat. Tells a pretty surprising story about, global shifts, the economy.
And our own habits, really.
Totally.
Yeah.
How we consume things is literally reshaping industries.
That's right. And for this deep dive, we're looking at a report from Cognitive Market Research. It's called Global Packaging Paper Market Projections by
Region and country.
Right.
And our goal here isn't just, throwing numbers at you. We want to cut through it all, find the key trends, the
back in 2021.
Yeah, staggering.
And that's really just the starting point. Projections. They show it climbing to over $418 billion by 2025.
Wow.
And then really taking off, hitting nearly $600 billion. $596.74 billion by 2033.
Okay, so that's, what kind of growth rate are we talking about?
It works at a pretty robust compound annual growth rate, CAGR, of 4.538% over that whole period.
Right, 4.5%, which might not sound like, tech stock flashy.
No, but on a market this size, that percentage means hundreds of billions in actual growth. It really signals these profound changes in how goods are made.
If you're looking for the giant in the room, it's definitely Asia Pacific, no question. It was already huge back in 2021, over $187 billion. But it's projected to soar to get this almost $336 billion by 2033. And its CAGR is nearly 5%, 4.976%, which is noticeably higher than the global average.
So Asia Pacific isn't just the biggest, it's actually growing faster than the rest of the world on average. That's significant.
It really is.
But APAC is huge, right? So within that region, are there specific countries really leading that charge? Any surprises in there?
Oh, absolutely. China. It remains a
Colossal force. It's expected to grow from nearly $58 billion to over $105 billion by 2033. That's a CAGR over 5%.
Still massive growth there.
6.13% for India. That's incredible. Doubling in just over a decade. What's behind that? I mean, it can't just be population growth driving that kind of explosive rate, can it?
Well, it's more complex than just population. You're right. India's growth is this fascinating example of economies kind of leapfrogging, straight to e-commerce in many ways.
Okay. Skipping traditional retail steps.
Sort of. And that digital shift demands tons of packaging, often paper-based, for delivery, across big distances, growing cities, even more connected rural areas.
So digital demand literally reshaping physical supply chains.
You got it. And we also see strong numbers from others, like Japan, growing to over $43 billion. Singapore's almost doubled.
Market like North America. Is it just steady, or is there innovation happening?
North America is definitely a solid contributor, very established. Its total market was about $62 billion in 2021.
Okay.
Projected to hit almost $95 billion by 2033. The regional CGR there is around 3.5%. So, steady growth, consistent, not that explosive expansion like parts of Asia.
Makes sense. And within North America, I assume the U.S. leads, but any interesting dynamics, other players making moves?
Yeah, the U.S. leads, no surprise there. Expected to grow from just over
$50 billion to nearly $76 billion.
Right.
But here's where it gets really interesting: Canada.
Ooh, what about Canada?
It actually shows a stronger rate of growth. Its CAGR is higher.
Okay, fascinating dynamic there. Let's shift down south then to South America. Similar to steady path or more dynamic like Asia?
South America is, I'd say, emerging quite strongly, definitely dynamic. The region was just over $31 billion in 2021, and it's set to reach nearly $54.5 billion by 2033. And its CAGR is notable, almost 4.75%.
Okay, 4.75%. That's actually higher than North America and Europe, right?
It is, yeah, which tells you there's a lot of development happening there regarding packaging demand.
So which countries are really pushing that growth in South America? Any standouts?
Well, Argentina posts a really high CAGR, over
5.2%, almost 5.3% actually, expected to nearly double its market to just under $10 billion.
Wow.
And Brazil, which is the biggest market there, is growing solidly too.
Colombia, Peru, others are contributing too.
Okay, so South America is definitely a region to watch. What about across the Atlantic? How does Europe fit into this? Is it keeping pace, or is it a different story?
Europe is showing steady growth, definitely. But yeah, at a slightly more modest pace compared to those developing regions we just talked about.
Okay.
The market was around $31.8 billion in 2021, projected to hit over $47 billion by 2033. So the CAGR there is about 3.4%.
3.4%. So solid, but like you said, more modest.
Mature market dynamics, perhaps.
I think that's a fair assessment. You wouldn't expect the same kind of explosive growth as India, for example.
Right. And within Europe,
Yeah.
which countries stand out? Any specific trends?
What's interesting there is even if individual country growth rates seem kind of modest, the overall European market is still expanding. Probably driven by e-commerce, sure, but also maybe sustainability rules favoring paper.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Regulations pushing towards paper-based options. So what might explain those slightly more modest rates overall in established European countries compared to, say, South America or parts of Asia? Just market maturity.
Yeah, I think it's largely that market maturity.
Different consumption habits, maybe stricter regulations impacting the overall pace. Like you said, it's likely a mix.
Okay. Let's shift again. What about the Middle East? What's the story unfolding there?
The Middle East is another...
The economic activity.
Any particular standouts driving that strong growth in the Middle East?
Yeah, the UAE is really impressive. Its AGR is over 5.6%, projected to almost double its market from roughly $3 billion to nearly $5.8 billion. And Saudi Arabia, which is the largest market there, is growing strongly too, almost $8 billion to nearly $14 billion. That's a 4.7% CAGR.
Okay.
Turkey's also a big player, set to nearly double to over $11 billion. You see this pattern reflecting, economic diversification efforts, tourism, and definitely that growing e-commerce footprint across
the region. Egypt and Qatar are significant too.
Lots of activity there. Okay, let's wrap up the regional tour with Africa. Smaller base, I imagine, but what's the potential?
Yeah, Africa starts from a...
South Africa is the leader in the region. It's projected to grow from just over $3 billion to nearly $5.8 billion by 2033. That's a strong CAGR for the region, about 4.6% 100%.
Okay.
Nigeria also shows good growth, set to hit about $2.6 billion. And this raises an important question, doesn't it? Considering how vast and diverse Africa is, what does this consistent 4% growth rate signal? Especially as infrastructure improves,
Populations urbanize. It really hints at a long runway for expansion in the packaging sector there.
A lot of future potential, yeah. Okay, so we've really done a world tour here. Asia Pacific's done.
I think the most profound thing is just the sheer scale of the growth. It's undeniable, massive, global expansion for packaging paper. We're talking hundreds of billions of dollars. And Asia Pacific, especially India, is just leading that charge with incredible rates. But you also see really strong emerging markets in South America and the Middle East.
And these numbers aren't just abstract figures.
Not at all. They're a direct reflection of huge economic shifts, right? Rising incomes, people moving to cities.
The e-commerce boom we talked about, changing spending habits, all of that shapes the packages that end up on your doorstep or on store shelves.
It really connects the global economy to our daily.